Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Welcome to the daily call of His Holiness Chandramouli Swami Maharaj. So today we are very fortunate to have Her Grace Anasuya Mataji with us today to enlighten us from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, verse 23. Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, accept mine augurs to Prabhupada and Gurudev.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mataji, for giving your time and association with us today. We are very fortunate to have you today on this call. We are eagerly looking forward to hear from you, Mataji. Please take over, Mataji. I'll share the verse. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you so much. Thank you for giving me some service that I could perform for His Holiness Chandramouli Swami and his disciples. I'm honored. Thank you. So, Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We will be discussing from Canto 1, Chapter 9, verse 23. The chapter is entitled The Passing of Bhishma Dev in the Presence of Lord Krishna. Very, very beautiful chapter. So we will start with the verse, verse, and then we'll go into the discussion. Bhaktyaveshya mano yasmin vachayan nama kirtayan twajan kale varam yogi mochate kama karma bhi. Synonyms: bhaktya, with devout attention, evasya, meditating, mana, mind, yasmin, in whose, vacha, by words, yat, Krishna, nama, holy name, kirtayan, by chanting, tyajan, quitting, kalevaram, this material body, yogi, the devotee, Muchyate, gets released. Karma bhi, from fruitive activities. Srila Prabhupada's translation and purport. The personality of Godhead who appears in the mind of the devotee by attentive devotion and meditation and by chanting of the holy name releases the devotee from the bondage of fruitive activities at the time of his quitting the material body. Purport. Yoga means concentration of the mind, detached from all other subject matter. And actually, such concentration is samadhi, or 100% engagement in the service of the Lord. And one who concentrates his attention in that manner is called a yogi. Such a yogi devotee of the Lord engages himself 24 hours daily in the service of the Lord, so that his whole attention is engrossed with the thoughts of the Lord in ninefold devotional service, namely hearing, chanting, remembering, worshiping, praying, become a voluntary servant, carrying out orders, establishing a friendly relationship, or offering all that one may possess in the service of the Lord. By such practice of yoga or linking up in the service of the Lord, one is recognized by the Lord himself, as it is explained in the Bhagavad Gita concerning the highest perfectional stage of samadhi. The Lord calls such a rare devotee the best amongst all the yogis. Such a perfect yogi is enabled by the divine grace of the Lord to concentrate his mind upon the Lord with a perfect sense of consciousness. And thus, by chanting his holy name before quitting the body, the yogi is at once transferred by the eternal energy of the Lord. Thank you. To one of the eternal planets where there is no question of material life and its concomitant factors. In material existence, a living being has to endure the material conditions of threefold miseries, life after life. According to his fruitive work, such material life is produced by material desires only. Devotional service to the Lord does not kill the natural desires of the living being, but they are all applied in the right course of devotional service. This qualifies the desire to be transferred to the spiritual sky. General Bhishmadev is referring to a particular type of yoga called Bhakti Yoga, and he was fortunate enough to have the Lord directly in his presence before he quitted his material body. He therefore desired that the Lord stay before his view in the following verses. Om Maganati Mirandiyasya Gena Gena Shalakaya Chakshur Onmalitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So that translation again, the personality of Godhead who appears in the mind of the devotee by attentive devotion and meditation and by chanting of the holy name releases the devotee from the bondage of fruitive activities at the time of his quitting the material body. So here, it's a very beautiful verse, always reminding us about our chanting, our attentiveness to devotional service, and how all these activities can free us from this repeated bondage of birth, from the repeated cycle of birth and death. And if we study really every verse from the beginning of Bhagavatam up until now, somehow or other, it is always linking to Bhakti Yoga, devotional service. It is always linking the devotion of the person to the Lord. And yoga actually means the link, the connection. And what is it linking us to? That's one thing we have to always think about when we think of the word yoga. Yoga means connecting, linking. And what is it linking us to? It is linking the yoga. That word yoga means linking, connecting. It's connecting us to the devotion. And how is it connecting it to the devotion? Through our hearts, through our minds, through our bodies and our senses. Because we use we use our hearts, we use our mind, we use our body and our senses in gratifying our needs, in gratifying our pleasure, in gratifying our senses. But bhakti, devotion, is telling us, teaching us to use that same heart, that same mind, the same body, and the senses to devote it in Krishna's pleasure, satisfying the Lord, pleasing the Lord, right? How to make him happy. Like if we think of, and I like to use material examples, if we think of marriage, or even a boy-girl relationship, or even the parent and child relationship, right? We are using our mind, our body, our senses, our hearts in pleasing our parents, right? In pleasing our husband or wife, in pleasing our children, pleasing our boss, pleasing our superiors. By nature, we are servitors. Even whether we are in spiritual life or not. By nature, by our constitutional position, we are servitors, we are servants. But we are serving our bodies, our minds, our senses for our own sense gratification. We're serving our family, we're serving our parents, we're serving our boss, our co-workers, the employees, the state officials, the government, what have you. We're serving somebody. So here Bhakti Yoga is teaching us how to use that same natural constitutional position of servant in Krishna consciousness. I remember a beautiful quote by Bhakti Swami, all glories to him, when he visited Srila Prabhupada in 1977 in Mayapur. And Srila Prabhupada told him, "You have been here so many lifetimes. Just this life, give it to Krishna. Just this life, just give it to Krishna." And instantly he did it. Instantly he did it. So Srila Prabhupada is telling him, so many lifetimes you have been a servant of your mind, body, senses, heart, serving material, families, children, what have you, right? This lifetime, give it to the Lord. Always stayed with me. Always stayed with me. So here, Srila Prabhupada is teaching us, how can we link ourselves to the service of the Lord? There's and I don't remember the verse, but there's a very nice lecture transcription by Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada used this word, which really, and I just read that a few months ago, actually, and it really stuck with me. Srila Prabhupada said, the first and foremost is hearing. We know the 9 processes of devotional service, as was stated in this purport. But Srila Prabhupada used the word first and foremost as hearing. So if hearing is first, but he also used the word foremost, meaning the top. If we think of a child in the mother's womb, have we ever wondered, why is it when the child comes out, when the child is born, the child recognizes the mother's voice? Why? Because when the child was in the womb of the mother, he or she heard the mother's voice for 9 months. Imagine hearing one voice every single day, 24/7 for 9 months. It becomes very natural to us. It becomes part of our lives. That is the reason why the child is always closer to the mother. The child is close to the father, no doubt about that. In no way am I putting down the father, not at all, because when the child is in the mother's womb, the child does hear the father's voice, but the child hears the mother's voice more. And that is why it's very natural for a child to cling on to the mother instantly and throughout the life, boy or girl. Cling on, because that's the first voice that the child hears, is the mother's voice. Now, what is the last organ to fail when a person is about to leave the body? It's the hearing. So hearing is the first organ upon when the child appears in the, in the mother's womb. And the hearing is the last that goes away when the soul is about to leave the body. So here we can tell how important hearing is in our lives. Prophets use the word first and foremost. So in order for us to get a taste of devotional service, in order for us to develop attentive chanting, in order for us to develop attentive devotion, attentive devotional service, we have to improve our hearing. Interestingly, we have 2 sets of ears, right? And 1 set of mouth. But if we think about it, which one does most work? If we really, really were to analyze our day, right? Which one does most work? The mouth does more work than the 2 ears. And have we ever figured out why is it that the mouth does more work? It's only 1 mouth. Imagine if we had 2 mouths. Hare Krishna. I think it'll be chaos. It'll be chaotic, my Krishna. I mean, really, it'll be madness. Thank God we have only 1 mouth, right? So we have 1 mouth, but 2 ears. But the mouth does more work than the 2 ears. The mouth is always on overtime, double time, triple time. The ears is always, it's not even working, it's not even working on overtime hours. In fact, it's not even working on regular time hours. It's working less than regular time hours. The reason being is 2 things. One is the mouth, the tongue has no bones. So when the tongue has no bones, it is always moving, constantly moving, right? For those of us who have arthritis, some joint pain, leg pain, whatever pain we have, right? We can see that when we sit in a certain position, when we have to get up, we'll say, Hare Krishna, right? There's some bone pain, there's some leg pain, stiffness, cramps, what they call pins and needles. When there's that pins and needle feeling in the feet, it takes a while for it to come back and we just stand for a while, right? Because there are bones in the body, in the leg, that's reminding us, okay, go slow, move slow, in your movement. But the tongue doesn't have arthritis. The tongue doesn't go through arthritis. It has no bones. So it just, it's constantly moving. The ears, if we see, we have bones, we have cartilage, we have ligaments. So we have to train ourselves to hear more. In Kali Yuga, the organ that is used less is hearing. And even if we say that we use it, we're using it for wrong purpose. We should use the hearing in hearing Krishna consciousness, Krishna Katha, Krishna lectures, devotional, devotee sanghas. The more we hear, the more we get the taste. It's interesting if we look at the 9 processes of devotional service. It says Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. Shravanam, hearing. Kirtanam, chanting. Vishnu, Smaranam, remembering the Lord. It did not say Kirtanam, and then Vishnu Smaranam, and then Shravanam. It did not even say Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Shravanam. It says hearing. Why? Because the more we hear, the more we get the taste for chanting. And the more we get the taste for chanting, the more we get the taste for devotional service. And the more we get the taste for devotional service, the more we get the taste for remembering the Lord. It starts with our hearing. Hearing is so important because we are forced to zip our mouth and open the ears like the elephant. If you see, the elephant has a very big ears, a very long trunk, but a very little mouth. The more we hear, we have to get in the habit of hearing. It's so important that we really engage our ears. If we want to get the taste for chanting, we have to increase our hearing. If we want to get the taste of devotional service, we have to increase our hearing. If we want to remember the Lord 24/7, we have to increase our taste for hearing. If we want to really understand Krishna consciousness, we have to increase our hearing. Anything that we have a desire to do more in Krishna consciousness, it goes back to the basic: increase our hearing. That is, the hearing is going to give us the taste for the highest form of service, which is devotional service. And Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport and the translation, attentive devotion. Devotionals, we should be engaged in some regular service. And if we do not have a regular service, we have to find a regular service. And if we don't know how to find a regular service, go to your spiritual master, go to your seniors, go to your temple authorities and ask them, please give me one regular service so that I can always remember the Lord. Now we might say, what does devotional service have to do with remembering the Lord? Because, again, I was reading in a lecture transcription a few weeks ago. I've heard this before from other acharyas, but it was very nice to read it. And it said, Krishna, the person, Krishna in the deity form, Krishna in the holy name, Krishna, the literary incarnation of Bhagavatam, and Krishna in devotional service is none different. None different. Imagine the mercy we have. Hare Krishna. Imagine the mercy, right? We have Krishna, the holy name, given to us by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We have Krishna in the form of a deity that we see every day. We have Krishna while reading and studying Bhagavatam and the holy scriptures. And we have Krishna in the form of devotional service. What more can we ask? Devotional service is Krishna personified. Devotional service is Krishna himself. And when we perform devotional service, we are connecting ourselves. How? If you remember in the earlier part of this class, we said we are linking our hearts, our mind, our senses, and our bodies in service to the Lord. That's devotional service. It's none different from the Lord himself. And devotional service must be attentive and uninterrupted. If some of us here are mothers, if we have a child, we gave birth to the child, and we say, okay, I've given birth to the child, now someone else should change the diapers, someone else should feed the baby, someone else should dress the baby. Let someone else do all that. I've given birth, I've carried 9 months, my job is done. Carried for 9 months, the baby came out, okay, someone else do it. Do we do that? No, we don't. Imagine, I'm just trying to think about it. It's so difficult because I have 2 daughters, so never can I think that way. But imagine If a person says, I've carried the child for 9 months, I've given birth to you, now someone else does all the work. It doesn't happen that way. Our duty towards our children continues attentively, uninterrupted. I remember my sister many years ago. She doesn't have a child, but she was thinking, she got married at a pretty late age, in late 30s. And by the time she thought of having a child, it was almost 40. So it was too late. But before she was serious about having a child, she asked me that if she has a child, and when the child is, she wants to take a vacation after giving birth. And she asked me if I could take care of her child for 2 weeks. And I said, it doesn't work that way. You take the child with you, because the child would want the mother. And she says, oh, but the child will be 6 months old. I said, no, you cannot do interrupted and attentive raising of your child. Those are the precious years where the child will need the mother. And I'm so glad she didn't have a child, because she's not child kosher. She's not the kind to raise children. So same thing, right? When we have a child, we don't let the child go on its own without any attention and supervision and, taking care of it. We don't do that. So the same with devotional service. Devotional service is Krishna's personification. So when we are given Krishna in the form of devotional service, we have to take care of that service like it's our child, uninterrupted with full attention. Because that devotional service is Krishna's personification. So when someone says, or when you're given a service, you can't say, okay, Mataji, I'll do it. And then like 1 hour before you say, oh, you know what? I don't feel like coming to the temple because I just have my body is kind of lazy, so I can't do my service. Have we ever done that with the care of our children, the care of our mother or our father or our parents, or, okay, let's put the family, our jobs. Have we ever done our work in our office incomplete and says, you know what, I'm not going to submit the report. Let someone else submit the report because I just don't feel like it. What happens? We get fired. We're like, this employee is not dependable. We get fired. We have to have that same mood of attentiveness in our service, because devotional service is Krishna's personification. None other than Krishna himself. So the more we engage in service, the more we will remember the Lord 24/7. And the more we remember the Lord, the more our attention is on the Lord. Again, going back to the example of parents, right? We're always thinking about, our child day-to-day meals, clothing, the child has a fever, making sure the child takes we give the child the medication on time, right? Making sure the child is dressed properly. We pack their lunches for school. We're always thinking of the child. And I know for mothers, because I'm a mother, even when we're at work, we're thinking about a child. Like while I know for me, while I'm doing my office work, unknowingly, it's 12 o'clock. I said, I hope my child had lunch. I packed this. I hope she's eating lunch. Like while we're doing our office work, we just think of our children, making sure that, oh, I hope she has lunch. I hope she's okay, right? Our attention is always on the children. So in that same way, the more we engage in service, the more we remember the Lord. And the more we remember the Lord, the more our attention is on the Lord. But in order to get that taste, we have to start with hearing. And the more we hear, the more we get the taste for chanting of the holy name. The more we get the taste, that's Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. The more we get the taste for chanting, the more we get the taste for devotional service, the more we get the taste for reading. Very, very important. Very important. And to increase hearing, we must practice silence and be still. I was raised before coming to Krishna consciousness, Before coming to Krishna consciousness, I was raised Christian. I was born in a Christian family. And there's a very nice Christian hymn that I used to like to sing. And it goes something like, be still and know that I am God. Something like that. It's very important to be silent and still to increase the hearing. Sometimes we think of being silent and being still as a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's actually very meditative. We all need a downtime. We all need some time during the day where we're just quiet and we be silent and we be still and really engage those senses of silence, senses of being still in hearing, in reading, and in chanting. Very important that we practice the mood, practice silence, stillness to increase our hearing. That will increase our chanting. Because when we have so much noise, it's very hard to focus. Imagine if if our office at our work was on the streets. Like we had our office desk on the streets, somewhere in the city. Can we focus in our work? Can we be attentive? Can we, concentrate? No, we can't. We have to be in a certain environment. In order to do our office work, we have to be in an office environment, right? In order to cook, we have to be in a cooking environment. We cannot cook in the office, right? So in the same thing, in order to be still and silent, to increase our hearing and chanting, we have to create such an environment for us to increase our silence and increase our be still and really bring all the senses together in a very calm mood, in a very meditative mood, and really focus on chanting. Two things I would like to share, and we can open up for discussion, is there's a very senior Prabhupada disciple. She left her body 2 years ago. Her Grace Mother Krishna Nandini. Known her personally. Known her for many, many years. I had the good fortune to have known her since my first year of Krishna consciousness, for almost 30 years. And whenever she would chant, it was amazing. And I observed her chanting, and she would say, and when she chants, she would chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then she would say again, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And when she says Krishna, Krishna, she's calling out to the Lord. She's saying, Krishna, come to, please dance on my tongue. And she would make that names Krishna, Krishna with such feelings. And it's like she's really calling out to the name of the Lord. And I copied her. I shouldn't say copied. That's not the right thing, because I can't copy her because she's a very senior devotee of Prabhupada. Like I followed her. I said, let me try that, because I have to learn from her example. So I started, whenever I remember, my mind is such a rascal. I started to say, let me try and see. And I started saying that. I said, wow, and when we say it louder, I can hear my voice. It's helping me to remember, okay, Krishna, I really have to call out to you, and the last thing that I would like to add is, which I just learned recently, in Krishna consciousness, whether we have been practicing for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, there's always a lesson for us to learn. If you ask any proper disciple who have been practicing it for 40, 50 years, they will always tell you, I'm always learning something new every day. That's Krishna consciousness. That is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. There is never end. The beauty of Krishna consciousness is there is never an end to learning. We're always learning something new every single day. So I learned something new 1-2 years ago, that my chanting with the Lord is my spiritual date with the Lord. You know how boy and girl go on dating. Husband and wife, sometimes they go out on an evening date, right? My chanting time with the Lord is my date with the Lord. My chanting time with the Lord is my spiritual date with the Lord. I'm going on a date with the Lord. It's a spiritual date. And I want to chant my rounds so that it's just me and the holy name. Because the holy name is Krishna. He's dancing on my tongue. So let me have my spiritual date with my Lord, so that I can develop the taste of chanting. And every day we have to make a simple prayer. I was reading this quote from Srila Prabhupada 2 days ago, where Srila Prabhupada says that we have to make a very simple prayer every day. And we pray, Krishna, remind me to chant your holy name, and remind me to chant your holy name and never forget you. The simple prayer every single day. And again, I just learned about the simple prayer 2 days ago. So I'm also learning something new every day. So this is my reflection from this beautiful, amazing verse. I would like to ask devotees, thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my reflections, share my thoughts, whatever little that I was able to get by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga. Would like to ask if there are any questions, any comments, please, at your service. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji, for this beautiful, beautiful class, for explaining us like what yoga means. Yoga means connecting our hearts, mind, and body to Lord Krishna through devotional service. And so many important points you shared. More than a class, it was like a meditation to me. That was such a wonderful class. Thank you so much, Mataji. I'll open up for the questions.
Please.
Yeah, dear devotees, please, if you have any questions, comments, or any realizations, please feel free to unmute, or you can type in the chat box, or you can raise your hand. And also, I would humbly request if you can turn on your camera, it will be very nice and engaging for all of us. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for that wonderful lecture.
Thank you,
very much.
Mother. Thank you so much. I think there's a question I see in the chat.
Okay, let me see, Mataji. Yeah, I think it's by Scarlett Mataji. Mataji was asking, I know some who live far from a big city where there might be a temple. Does it mean that they have no chance?
No chance for what, Mother? I'm trying to understand your question. No chance for hearing?
Mataji, you like to unmute and ask your question? I have.
Oh, she is, okay. She's on Moonvrat. Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
let me try to understand. So, Mother, what you're asking is, you know someone who lives far away in a big city where there might be a temple. So you're not sure if there's a temple or not, right? And so what are the chances of them hearing? You know, mother, the blessing is, you know, I was just talking to my husband two few days ago, how Krishna uses everything in his service. So there is, if that devotee has an opportunity to have a beat back and is chanting mala and just chant out loud, that's an opportunity. If the devotee has an opportunity to get to Srila Prabhupada's books, that's an opportunity. If a devotee can call another devotee, that's an opportunity. If a devotee can go down the street and just give out a couple of books, that's an opportunity. If you think of Srila Prabhupada, when Srila Prabhupada came in 1965, there was no temple. There was, in fact, there was no ISKCON temple. He went under a tree in New York City with his little gong, as he called it. No mridanga, no kartal, no harmonium. He chanted under the tree in New York City, and he was just chanting alone by himself and just chanting the holy name. And as he was chanting and chanting, next thing you knew, there were people, youth around him, just dancing, the Swami dance, just dancing, you know. He was doing it all alone. So the devotee can go out and anywhere he finds a spot, just chant. Even if one person comes, just chant. Even if the bird comes, just chant. I used to, my husband and I, sometimes we used to go for a walk in our community. And sometimes we'll see a bird. You know, sometimes, you know, this little sparrows would come late, you know, will come flying down. And I'll just stand still and I'll chant the holy name to the bird. I'll stop my walk. Because at least the bird will hear the vibration of the holy name, you know. And then I'll stop and I'll chant. And then after a while, the bird will just fly off, you know, and I'll continue my walk again, you know. So every little thing we have, and it's not easy. Even I go through that same struggle. It's not easy, but we have to somehow slowly, gradually, it's a gradual process. We have to somehow try to see Krishna in everything. So if this person can have a japa mala and a bead bag, chant the holy name, just sit and just chant outside. And maybe one person might come in and say, hey, what are you doing? And that's an opportunity to share the holy name. I'm chanting the name of God. And for me, I know that whenever I meet Western devotees, and I always try to connect with them because Western devotees, generally, they come from a Christian background. So I can always relate the rosary, you know. So I said, you know how in the rosary on the Catholic Church, they chant, so this is what we chant. And there's a very nice written interview by Srila Prabhupada with the Cardinal, I believe. And I believe it's in the book of Science of Self-Realization, where Srila Prabhupada is actually teaching, sharing the Japamala to the priest of the Catholic Church who had his rosary, you know. But yeah, no devotional service. Mother, the first and foremost devotional service is chanting of the holy name. Reading is devotional service. Cooking and sharing prasadam is devotional service. Bhakti Charu Swami says, he used to be my Shiksha Guru before he left his body, after my spiritual master left, only for a very short time. But Bhakti Charu Swami used to say, prasadam is the weapon. If we cannot do anything else, we give prasadam. So if this devotee can bake cookies or even bake a cake and just give it, that is devotional service. Why? Because we are cooking the food, offering the bhoga to Krishna. It becomes prasadam. That is Krishna's mercy. So we are sharing Krishna's prasadam, that's devotional service. During the COVID time, when every ISKCON temple was shut down, even in Harris, even in America, it was very difficult for us for 4 months. After 4 months, I said, I'm opening the temple. I don't care who comes. If 10 people come, whatever. So in this 4 months, when I closed the temple down, my second daughter likes to bake cakes, so, and we had our Sunday program online, but we were missing the cooking service. Yeah, we are online, but we got to cook, come on, we got to cook something. So my second daughter used to tell me at the time, Mommy, it's nice we're having class, but there's no cooking, there's no one to give whatever. So she would say, you know what, I'll bake a cake. So locally, there's a homeless shelter about 15 minutes from my house, 15-20 minutes. So my daughter every week should make a cake, mango cake, vanilla cake, strawberry cake, pineapple cake. Every week she'll make one cake, and I would drive her to the homeless shelter and we'll give it off, And every time we go, the guy would say, whenever the guy would see my daughter, and he'll say, young girl, so what did you bring to today? What flavor did you bring me today? Prasadam. So there are so many ways to give devotional service. Cook something and share it. And I can guarantee that the more we cook and we give, and one day we don't give, they'll say, hey, mister, where's my cookies? Because they got so adapted to it. So devotional service comes in many forms. Going out and sharing the holy name is devotional service. Cooking prasadam and giving it to the homeless, giving it to anybody, even giving it to the shopkeeper is devotional service. Giving out Prabhupada's books is devotional service. Sitting and talking to someone who is very confused and lost and giving them a little bit of hope is devotional service. Saving a person, and there's one pastime. It happened 2 years ago, actually, 2-3 years ago. Our book distribution devotees, one devotee was giving Bhagavad Gita to a hotel, a local motel. And the owner took the Bhagavad Gita and put it all in all the rooms. And we heard that the very next morning, one of the guests, the people that stayed in the room, the hotel, came out and thanked the hotel owner, and he said, you saved my life. And the guy said, what did you do? He says, I checked into your hotel to commit suicide. But I read the Bhagavad Gita that it was in the drawer, and I did not commit suicide. This book saved my life. Imagine Prabhupada's books. So the guy thanked the owner, thank you. It's this book that saved my life because I had a plan to commit suicide in your hotel. And I'm alive because of this book. Thank you. That is the power that even giving books is devotional service. So there's opportunities for devotional service. There's never an end. I hope I answered your question, Mother. Thank you so much. Beautiful question, though. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions from devotees? Or I would like to hear from you. What is your takeaway? I always like to ask, what was your takeaway, your food for thought that you learned that I can learn from you?
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. That's so wonderful. That's so wonderful answer, detail. Yeah, thank you. So Mataji, I just have a question about as you said, hearing is first and foremost, right? So as
Prabhupada said, not me.
Yes. So as Mataji was asking Scarlet Mataji, let's say we don't have access to hearing, and just by doing devotion, prasadam distribution, will it help? Will it impact on our consciousness?
Absolutely, because devotional service. I'll tell you a pastime. My god brother, this was probably about 20-25 years ago. I was, my family and I were living in Gitanagari for 21 years before we moved to Mechanicsburg, where I live right now. It's an hour, and I serve at this temple. So when I was, Gitanagri was my battlefield of Kurukshetra, my first battlefield of Kurukshetra, where I really got purified. I'm still getting purified, Krishna Chaitanya. But at the time, it was my learning ground. And it was Sunday feast. And, we cook for a lot of people. And there were big, big pots to wash. And I remember my god brother was washing a pot that was burnt inside and outside. And he was washing the pot. It took him forever. And I said, Jagannath Pandit, that's his name. I said, Jagannath Pandit, I need the pot to cook. Can you please wash the pot? You're taking it forever. He says, Anasuya, my heart is so dirty. I said, why you say that, Prabhu? I need the pot to cook. He says, it's burnt inside and out. I'm washing and I'm realizing how dirty my heart is. Krishna is showing me that I need to clean my heart by this service. So yes, the more devotional service we do, the more it's going to clean our hearts. And the more it cleans our heart, because why? Devotional service is Krishna personified. Even if we are not able to have devotee association, even when we're able to cook for people and we give prasadam, we are washing our pots, right? It's cleaning our hearts. And the more we clean our hearts, the more, we can put new clean seeds. It's like planting a ground. When we have to garden, what is the first thing we do? We pull out the weeds, right? We loosen the soil so that the weeds can come out. And then we remove all the stones that's inside the ground. Then we make the soil nice and soft, right? And then we put new seeds. That's exactly how it is with the heart. We have to clean the heart. There's so much. See, it's not only this lifetime. We have been carrying, I don't know, I'm scared to know what mess I did in my previous life, but we've been carrying years of garbage for so many lifetimes. So we need to clean it out, and we have to clean it with the chanting of the whole Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Clean our hearts by chanting, by reading, by hearing, by devotional service. And the more we clean, the more we clean, the more we clean, the more we'll be crying, Krishna, my heart is messed up. Clean it. Remove the anartha so I can really have the taste to want to chant. I can have the taste to want to hear. I can have the taste to want to be with devotees. I mean, I can really testify that in my early years of devotional service, I didn't have much taste. I didn't have much taste for hearing. I didn't have much taste for reading. I didn't have much taste for chanting. The taste that I had at that time was cooking and cleaning, devotional service. Because, like if you see proper disciples, what was the first service they did? They'll tell you, washing bathrooms, washing pots. I wash pots. First day in the temple, they put me in the kitchen to wash pots or wash the bathrooms. Why? Because that's how we clean our hearts, So I didn't have so much taste for hearing and chanting, even though I did chant my rounds mechanically. But I was always engaged in service. So in my devotional life, my learning was I had to do so much service to clean my heart so that I will eventually have the taste for hearing and chanting and reading. So the more service we do, the more scrubbing we do, the more we're saying, Krishna, clean my heart. I want to get the taste. I want to have a date with you. I want to go out on a date with you to chant your holy name, clean. This heart is such a mess. Such a mess. So yeah. And I'm still, till today, I always ask the Lord, please, don't let me forget you. I need to get this rounds in. It's work. But yes, it's a daily, constant work. It's a daily, we have to practice Krishna consciousness daily, no matter how many years we've been practicing. It's a never-ending work. because it's making us become more and more Atma Nivedana. It's making us become more and more surrendered to the Lord, where nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. Even if someone shouts at you, you're like, whatever, I'm going to ignore you. Nothing else matters. It's work. It's work. I hope I answered your question, Mataji.
Yes, yes, Mataji, and so true. I mean, like every word that you said, it's so true. Yeah, thank you so much for that detailed and beautiful answer.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I see Srimati Mataji hand raised. Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Anasuya Mataji, please accept my humble obeisance.
Accept mine.
All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. What a beautiful class, Mataji. Thank you so much for coming and accepting my request and giving us this wonderful class, Mataji.
Thank you for engaging me in service.
All
It's for my purification too.
practical instructions, and you gave a lot of nectar, Mataji. Thank you so much. And I just want to share my little realization. So as you said, hearing is very important. That is the first step in Krishna consciousness. Yeah, Prabhupada said. So every day it's because of Guru Maharaj and this daily call, my day starts with hearing only.
You are so fortunate. You are so fortunate. I don't know how but you are very blessed.
Thank you, Mataji. So our day starts with the hearing Guru Maharaj class, especially because of the time zone, USA time zone. Because for London people, it's like afternoon, but for us, it's early morning and starts the day with hearing only. So that's a very wonderful thing. And I like your elephant example where you said that we should be like an elephant with big, big ears and small mouth. Yeah, usually before coming into Krishna consciousness, I used to waste a lot of time just talking over the phone with my friends. And oh, Krishna, how I used to waste a lot of time. When I recall that, now I don't have time at all to call anybody.
That is the mercy of Krishna consciousness. Like we don't have the time to talk, no time for nonsense,
So whenever that's very big thing, Mataji, that change in life entirely, the hearing process. Yeah, that's very wonderful. And also, I like your point, like where you were saying about the service. We have to be accountable and we have to be sincere in our services towards the temple or whatever service we get. And also, that's what even I'm trying to do. Whatever service I want to become steady on that and do my best. Trying to do that, Mataji.
It's interesting. When you talked about service, I was remembering a very nice instruction that my senior god sister told me many years ago.
Please, Mataji,
and this was probably right after I had my first daughter, is almost 25, so about 25 years ago. She gave me this instruction and she said, the more service you do, the more service you get. There's no end. Sometimes we think, oh, if I do the service more, then I'll get a break. No, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, that I experienced, Mataji. No break at all.
It doesn't happen. The more service you do and the more service you get. And what is very interesting, that I also realized, and even the more service we get, somehow or the other, Krishna somehow gives us the time to do it. It's just amazing. Like till to today, I said, Krishna, I cannot take any more, but yet you give me more. But how would you give me the time to do it? Like, I don't know how, Krishna's amazing. Krishna's really amazing. But you're very fortunate that you start your day with hearing. You're very, very blessed. Such a wonderful service. Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you for sharing your reflection. Thank you. Really.
And also, please give us some tips like how to stick on to our service sincerely, because you are very much experienced and I'm
still learning, but I can share what has helped me to stick to my service as my spiritual master. That was the first thing that he always told us. He says, in fact, when we would give up our service to attend temple programs, he gets very upset. there was one pastime where this was actually this was even before my kids were born. This was probably about almost 30 years ago. There was a retreat. It was a summer weekend retreat. And you know, whenever the guru is in town, everybody wants to go. And everybody don't want to do service, right? Because they want to go and see their spiritual master. Very natural. So this was in Gitanagari, and I remember that my Gurudev was having darshan at his, at this house. And everybody wanted to attend the darshan. But at the same time, we had to do deity service and also cook I forgot what it was. And then that evening, it was my turn to cook the evening offering. But the devotee had evening dressing, but he wanted to go hear my spiritual master in darshan. So he's asked me, Anasuya, can you please cover my service? I said, okay, So I stayed. I missed out on the whole darshan, actually. So I actually cooked the burger offering, the evening burger offering for the deities, and did the burger offering, and also did the arati, and also dressed the deities in the evening. So next morning, my senior god sister asked me, Anasuya, why were you not there for the darshan? I said, Mother Rajalila, I had to cover so-and-so service. She says, So she called that devotee who said, who I covered the service for. And she says that service comes first, then missing out on service to attend to hear the spiritual master. And then she says, because if we remember Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj's pastime, when he was at Kumbh Mela, I believe in Mayapur in India, he was giving a lecture, and the devotees went out for touring the holy dham rather than doing service. He says, our hearts and minds are not purified enough to just go see the holy dham. It's just to gratify our senses. We have to purify our hearts. So she says, if my spiritual master knew that this devotee wanted to hear darshan instead of his service, he would be very upset. So that always stayed with me, that our spiritual master is giving us, is giving us the enlightenment of knowledge. But in order to get the knowledge, we have to clean our hearts. So what keeps me going is my spiritual master. Every day I think of him. I would always say, what would he do if he was in front of me? Would he say, okay, Anasuya, skip the service? Or would he say, you know what, skip the service and go enjoy the program? Or vice versa. And the little that I know of my sports master, he'll tell me, no, you stay back and you cook. That's how he is. It was pretty intense. He was pretty intense, but very loving. So yeah, absolutely. Service is what our spiritual master is, what keeps us going. They keep us going. It's also very important. What helped me a lot is it's also very important that we try to, at least once a day, if not every other day, recite the Sri Guru Vandana prayers in English. The reason being is that when we know the prayers in Sanskrit, at least for me, I'm not a Sanskrit scholar. So I really don't know the word for word translation. But from my Krishna consciousness days, I know it in English. So whenever I recite the Sri Guru Vandana prayers in English, it really is a slap on my face. It's a slap on my face. So I always try to remember the Sri Guru Vandana prayers in English. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him, ecstatic prema emanates. By him, ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master, the ocean of mercy, the Lord of master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us a shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the 3 worlds. We'll take shelter of your lotus feet. The more we recite it in English, the more we become very service-oriented. That's my 2 cents that I could share of.
Wow, great, Mataji. Nice tip, Mataji. Yeah, that's true. We have to read in English. Yeah, otherwise Sanskrit will just recite and
Like a parrot.
that's true.
Yeah. Actually, it's so important that because in the old ISKCON days, as we said, when I joined, it was like 92, very early. Those days, everything that we recite in Sanskrit, we repeat it in English.
Mm.
It was a very common thing. Now it's not so common. But those days, everything we recite in Sanskrit goes in English. So it gets into our thick heads and skulls, because this head is such a rock. So we have to do that in English. Then it's, oh, wow, this is what it actually means. Then it becomes more flavorful, like even when we do Gita Jayanti, when we recite the whole Bhagavad Gita, in my temple, I do it in English.
Mm.
It used to be done in Sanskrit, but I switched it because I don't know what Krishna is saying in Sanskrit. I'm not a Sanskrit scholar. So I literally tell the devotees we're going to recite in English. And the first time I did it in English, they were like, wow, Mataji, now it's making sense. I said, that is the reason why we have to go back to how it used to be in the old days. It's so important. So important. Old is gold, right? As they say.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Yeah, even by hearing daily classes of Guru Maharaj, so even I'll be always thinking about Guru Maharaj only most of the time, because of this. Suppose if I don't listen to 2 days, suppose Guru Maharaj is not there here for 2-3 days, then we feel something lost.
Yes.
Yeah, we are so used to Guru Maharaj classes now, so it's like a big attachment for us now.
That is a very healthy attachment. To get instructions from the spiritual master is very, very, because all that, whatever we're getting for a spiritual master in the Vapu form becomes Vani when he's absent, and that will carry in our hearts as imprints. In our hearts and mind as imprints forever. We will never let it go. But yeah, that healthy attachment to the spiritual master and his instructions, especially his instructions, will carry us through our Krishna consciousness. Very, very important. You're very fortunate.
Thank you, Mataji.
All of you are very fortunate,
Yes,
actually.
Mataji.
So nice.
And we are fortunate to have you on our call and
Oh, no.
Always getting your association.
Chandramali Swami is very, very kind to me, to my whole family. He's very, very kind. I've known him since 92 or 93. And he has seen my children when they were growing up, when they were born, actually. And he's seen them when they were crawling, diapers, everything. So he's very dear to our hearts. He's very close to our family. And that's why he jokes with me. It's just his mercy. It's his love and mercy for our family.
Yes.
And that's why whenever he comes, not me, but my husband always makes him homemade bread because he loves bread.
Yes.
In fact, there's a very nice pastime with Chandramali Swami many years ago in Gitanagari. We made homemade bread, and he likes salad with Italian salad dressing because he has an Italian background a little bit.
Yeah.
And Chandramali Swami, rather than pouring the Italian dressing on a salad, Maharaj took the bread and dipped it in the salad dressing and ate it. And I said, Maharaj, what are you doing, Maharaj? He says, it's very tasty. He literally dipped the bread in salad dressing. And he says, this is the way you have it. I said, Maharaj, whatever makes you happy. But yeah, I have a lot of pastimes with Chandramali Swami, but he's very loving. And I'm so happy that he's engaging me in some service for him. I always used to wonder, after the passing of my spiritual master, how can I do some service for his god brothers and gods? Because he used to always tell us, my guru used to always, very strict instructions, he would always tell us, treat my god brothers, my god family better than the way you treat me. Always stuck with me. So I'm happy that he got me in the service. So, and thank you for engaging me in his service.
Please, Mataji, whenever you have time, you please come and give us class like this and purify us. Thank you so much.
If you all can tolerate me.
No, Mataji. Yeah, I'm fine.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Revati Mataji, please take.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji, for sharing all those things. It's so beautiful. Yeah, yes, Mataji, as Mataji said, these daily calls are so important. I mean, just been like more than 2 years, even I've been attending. I can see that change in my heart, and I'm so got attached to this daily call. And as Mataji said, when we attend the daily call, that's what, like, it will help us to drive our, day activities. And we are so much got attached to Guru Maharaj. It's like, I can't even share that, we feel so blessed and, to have this association and this things. And, Srimati Mataji, she's doing wonderful services, and we are so thankful that, she has organized all these things.
And coming together like this, hearing your spiritual master, hearing Maharaj, also creates a very nice bond amongst the devotees. Keeps all of you connected, because it's these devotees that we'll have to lean on when we need help. It's these devotees that we're going to get shelter and strength to help us move on in our Krishna consciousness. I personally can speak for myself, because it was very difficult when my spiritual master left the planet for a few years. Very, very, very difficult. It was only by the mercy of the devotees that every time I fall, they'll pick me up. I fall, they pick me up. I fall, they pick me up. That is why sadhu sangha is very, very important. Very, sadhu sangha, that's why they say, right, in one of the 10 offenses in the bottom, it says, devotees are bhakta vriksha. Devotees are what's going to help us, remind us, pick us up, save us, and teach us, and guide us, and help us to die. Only the devotees, no one else. So this kind of sanghas, even hearing Chandramali Swami is also with the devotees, is going to create a very, very nice tight bond amongst all of you. So you all are very, very, very merciful. Very, very merciful by the mercy of your spiritual master. And thank you for sharing a little bit of the mercy with me, so that I know that I can also be greedy for Chandramali Swami's mercy. I'm always looking for his mercy. I'm very greedy like that.
Thank you, Mataji. So, Mataji, I have a question, but I would like to check with devotees before I ask the question, if they have any questions or comments. Today's class.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I have to leave now. I have something else going on. Yeah. So, is it okay, Mataji? Anasuya Mataji, with your permission?
Yes, please. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mataji. Revati Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Mataji, it's 8:13. Is it okay? I have one question. Can I ask? Okay. So, Mataji, about hearing, usually when I hear, I have that habit of taking notes. When I don't take notes, I can see the quality of hearing is not very good. I mean, even though I hear, I can't grasp. So is that the right way, or like...
In my early days of Krishna consciousness, I remember my god sister, Mother Chintamani. She's still around, thank God. She and I are very close. We had kids together. We raised our children together 20-something years ago. She always carried a notebook with her. But she was a very fast writer. Even when she chicken scratch, as they call it, she knew what she was writing, She always took notes in all classes. Mm-hmm. Even if she cannot write a full sentence, she would just write 1, 2, 3 words for her to remember when she goes back, to know what that words meant from the lecture, So but taking notes during classes, very important. The reason being is, when we just hear, it's very hard to remember everything that's spoken in the class. I know I cannot, because my mind is such a rascal, I have to be taking notes. So it's very important that we take notes. But at the same time, if we can get a recording of the class and go back and hear, and then take additional notes, or add more to the notes that we already took. Because hearing only Like for me, like I can speak for myself, definitely. I have heard many instructions from Srila Prabhupada's lectures many times, and I didn't take notes. And I'm hearing, I'm like, wait, I heard this 20 something years ago. Duh, Anasuya, you should have known that by now, because I didn't take notes. So it's really very important that we take notes, and so that we can go back and reflect on them, you know, and meditate and think about it, and probably read more about it. Probably pick up another book, you know, probably the Bhagavatam, probably some of the books of Krishna consciousness, and read more about, you know what, I heard this in class. Let me read more about it. Let me research more on the Veda base. Let me speak to another devotee about it to get more deeper understanding about it. You know, it's very healthy, because why? We are working our minds. We are not making the mind become lazy. We're not making the mind become dormant. We're working our minds deeper, deeper, deeper in wanting to really learn about Krishna consciousness. So it's very healthy that we take notes during class. But if we feel that we are not able to pay attention, then what we can do is just make 2-3 word point, you know, so that at least 2 word point that you know, that if you go back and check the words, you're able to add more from what you heard in the class. Or if you have a recording of it, hear the recording and go back and add more to it. But taking notes, I think it's really important, because there are many devotees that take notes. My spiritual master, even in his God Brothers classes, I have seen him take notes of his God Brothers classes. And he always carries this little memo pad, those 2x4 little books with the little spiral on the end. He still carries it. He always did. He always did. Yes. Very important, because the mind cannot retain. The retaining power of our minds are very low, because of stupid Kali Yuga. So low, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, very true, Mataji. Thank you so much. Yeah, because I got that habit of taking notes.
You got a very good habit.
Yeah, because whenever I don't take notes, I can see nothing retains in my mind. Even though I hear, it doesn't really, even my consciousness also, it doesn't sets me properly. So when I take notes, that's when I can see like the difference actually.
Yeah. It's really important.
Thank you.
I know I trained my first daughter, you know, that was a struggle, and now I think and you know, these young kids nowadays, when they take notes, they type it, they don't write. I still write. They type, you know, and I think they type quicker than a typist. I don't know how fast these kids type nowadays. So by the time the class is over, her notes are longer than my notes, because she just goes type on a Word document, you know. But yeah, it's really important. It's really, because our retaining power is very weak. It's very weak. Yeah.
Mataji. And just a small other thing, like you mentioned, Mataji, while doing menial services. So when a program is going on, when we have a lecture and we have also cooking services. So as you said, so cooking services are more important. So, okay. So because a lot of times I feel like when classes are going on, if I go and help in cooking services, that's like disrespecting the speaker. Is it right understanding or?
It's interesting. This is a very good topic, because I've had that brought up to my attention a few times. So I will share with you how I was trained by senior disciples of Prabhupada and my God family. Is when there's a lecture happening in the temple and the services in the kitchen are taken care of, listen to the lecture. If there's a need in the kitchen, and say they need someone, say they're short of help and they're running late and they need someone to do cut up, then go help in the kitchen. I remember in Gitanagari, I don't know how often it is in temples now, but I remember in Gitanagari is we always had a speaker in the kitchen, so that if the lecture is happening in the temple room, it's connected to the kitchen. So even those of us who are doing service in the kitchen, in the temple kitchen, we can still hear the class. So that's that's also another good thing to do, you know, that even though we are doing service in the kitchen, we can still hear the lecture. But sometimes what happens is some people is, you know, when they go to the kitchen, because they don't like to hear lecture, so it's the opportunity for them to escape from the lecture to go gossip in the kitchen. That's a thing. So that's one thing that I really stop in my temple that if they're not there for any kitchen, come up in the temple room. If you're going to just hang out because you want to say, hey, how are you? What was your day? How's your kids? Where did you buy this good dress? Where did you buy this sari? This is like gossip. Come up, sit in the class, you know? So I always do a check in my temple every Sunday. If you're not doing service, come and sit in the temple. Unless you're doing service, I can understand that. Yeah. So it depends on this, on the situation, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. I hope I answered your question,
Yes, yes,
Mataji.
Mataji. Yeah, it's against a matter of consciousness, and if they really, you have to go.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. We took a little bit over time, but
No
thank you.
problem. Thank you so much.
Wonderful class. Please keep coming and enlighten us.
Thank you.
Okay, Mataji, we'll end the class. So,
Yes.
Tarupesha, Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha,
Patitanam Bhavani Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Guru Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hari Bol.
Thank you.
Hare
ma'am.
Krishna.
Thank
Thank you
you.
Hare
very
Krishna.
much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.